Sports have long been seen as an escape from the harsh realities of everyday life. But often, those realities have been overlooked in favor of the game itself. This has been especially true when it comes to the rights of Indigenous peoples. Indigenous rights in the world of sports have often been overlooked and undervalued, leaving many Indigenous athletes with limited opportunities and resources. Indigenous people are often the first to be affected by the impacts of climate change, deforestation, and other environmental factors. This means that while other people have the luxury to access safe water, clean air, and other resources, Indigenous people are often denied these basic rights. This lack of access to resources can be especially detrimental for Indigenous athletes, who need access to proper nutrition, training, and medical support. The history of Indigenous rights in the world of sports is complex. Indigenous athletes have often been excluded from mainstream sports, and when they are included, they are frequently subjected to racism and discrimination. This is seen in the lack of Native representation in professional sports teams, as well as in the limited opportunities to represent their nations at international sporting competitions. Indigenous athletes are also rarely seen in the media, and when they are often portrayed in a stereotyped or derogatory manner. In recent years, there have been some positive steps taken to ensure Indigenous athletes are better represented in the world of sports. For example, some countries have recognized the importance of including Indigenous athletes on their national teams, and have developed initiatives to support Indigenous athletes' participation in sports. In addition, some sporting organizations have adopted policies to ensure the inclusion of Indigenous athletes in their competitions. Despite these steps, Indigenous rights in the world of sports remain vulnerable. Indigenous athletes continue to face discrimination, and many are denied basic rights and resources. To ensure that Indigenous athletes have the same opportunities as other athletes, it is important to continue to push for greater inclusion of Indigenous rights in the world of sports. This includes ensuring that Indigenous athletes have access to the same resources and opportunities as other athletes, as well as providing them with the necessary support to participate in sports and compete at the highest level. Indigenous rights are human rights, and this must be reflected in the world of sports. By ensuring that Indigenous athletes have the same access to resources and opportunities as other athletes, we can create a more equitable and inclusive sporting environment. This will not only benefit Indigenous athletes, but also provide a more enjoyable experience for all sports fans.